You were all born with a gift. Like the majority of people, you probably don't even realise you have it. Think of it a bit like a jack in the box, a toy that you were given as a child. It worked well then, but now it's so long ago, you can't even remember where the toy is. You can't remember how to use it, whether you enjoyed it, and where it is. It's kind of hidden under a whole pile of dust. The reason you struggle with recalling that gift is that it's been covered by layers of dust from lack of use, pulled apart and damaged by well-meaning parents, grandparents, teachers and the media. Supposedly they've all got your best interest at heart. But they were not you, with your own feelings, likes, dislikes and behaviour style. Just like you might be told you're too old to play with that toy, or look at this is better. Your gift got hidden because of language, phrases that are meant to help, but they're mostly lies and they erode your power and sometimes put your life in danger. Phrases like stranger danger. Most predators are not scary strangers lurking in the shadows. They are peoples their victims knew, often trusted. Or the phrase, try, and try again, which Einstein says is insanity, doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different outcome. As children, we are coerced to do what we are told, even if it feels wrong for us. And in doing so, we are forced to ignore our survival instinct, our boundaries. Intellectually, you can't articulate what it is that you feel. If something's uncomfortable, and you might just be able to say, no. But as a child, you'll be forced to do whatever it is you dislike, even if you're saying no. And then you'll probably have a tantrum. Terrible twos is just children trying to assert their boundaries and developing the awareness of themselves. As an adult, you will then express anger if you're forced to do things that you don't like. But if that is perceived as dangerous or unacceptable, you're likely to end up depressed if you suppress it. That might all sound familiar. What I'm going to do next is some tools to help you find and regain control of your gift. These are by invitation only, and that means you follow only if it feels interesting to do so, if it feels comfortable enough for you to do so. If you want to explore this, that's great. If you don't, then explore what is it that's uncomfortable. Where are you noticing your no? What doesn't feel right? This is you rediscovering your gift. So let's just start by crossing your fingers. And notice which thumb is on top. Which one's right? Or should I say, which one's correct? Is it right thumb, left thumb? What about your neighbour? Have they got the same?
You got the right one, yeah.
Maybe, maybe not. Now, if I ask you intellectually, so don't move your hands, leave them exactly where they are while we do this. If I ask you to uncross your hands and move it one finger down, how is it going to feel? What is your brain telling you?
Feels wrong. Feels weird.
Yeah. It feels weird. But if I'm just asking you and you haven't moved it, do you know that it's going to feel weird? Yeah.
I've done it before.
You've done it before, yeah. So it's only because you've done it. If you're just asked, oh well, do this. So you can do it with crossing your arms. You cross your arms one way. But why would it feel, intellectually, why would it feel any different to cross them the other way?
Can't do it.
You can't do it. So this is the difference between your cognitive understanding of something. You know, like, there's no reason for it to be any different. But your body is telling you there's something weird going on. And that's just because it's familiar. You've done it hundreds of times and your body knows what it feels like. Then notice when you cross it the other way, this sensation of it being unfamiliar, does that trigger anxiety? Or is it just because it's a new experience and you don't quite know what's happening? This is waking up your gift, your awareness of what you are experiencing. Is it the anxiety of not knowing what will happen? Because anxiety is usually forward thinking in the future, what is going to happen, not anxiety about something that's already happened. And if you're in constant anxiety, sometimes it will feel so familiar that you no longer notice it. It becomes effectively your baseline. This feeling of crossing your fingers is different but similar to the gift that you were born with. You have a body sense that something is different, not a cognitive sense. In his book, The Gift of Fear, Gavin de Becker shares accounts of women who had survived assaults. He was curious as to why they were alive and others weren't. He noticed that all their testimonies had something in common. The women sensed something was not right. Even though rationally they could not describe what it was. More importantly, they acted on that feeling. This, Gavin de Becker says, is not to be confused with what he calls the curse, anxiety. What they sensed was their gift of fear. You might call it instinct, gut feeling, premonition, or sixth sense. Ultimately, what it's called doesn't matter. What is important is to recognize the feeling because it's designed to save you and to act on it. So fear of the unknown, fear of losing face, fear of public speaking, even irrational fears such as spiders or heights, they are really anxiety. Ask yourself, how often have you had the gift of fear? You couldn't explain why you felt a particular way. You didn't follow through on it and then regretted it. Science now understands, through studying the vagus nerve and the fascia, that we perceive far more than we are actually aware of. The gut has 5 times more neurons than the spinal cord, and so it's now called our second brain. Next time, rather than attempting to rationalize your feeling, I urge you to trust your gift more than you trust anyone else. Ignore people telling you to rationalize it. It could save your bank balance, a relationship, your business, and might even save your life. Before the age of 7, you have very little way of discerning whether verbal information is true or helpful to you or not. At that age, we take what people say for granted. We take it at face value and expect it to be true because we trust the adults to keep us safe. But that belief, or that gets embedded as a belief, and beliefs are hard to change. When we obsess over something like stranger danger, we are essentially telling our children, you can lower your guard around people you know. This is a dangerous mistake. The data shows that the threat is much more likely to be a weird uncle, a nice neighbour, or, in my case, a family friend. Children will override their feelings and will attempt to rationalise their experience if it doesn't match their belief. This pattern continues into childhood and can be problematic. The fear of the unknown will increase your level of anxiety, which actually blinds you to the real dangers. It's because of the way our brain deals with anxiety. When we're on high alert for imaginary threats, our brain stops functioning at its best. It searches for something called confirmation bias, which is if you're looking for a particular type of car to buy, then you might start seeing it everywhere, even though there are no more of that particular car in existence than there were before. But now your brain sees it and ignores all the other types of cars. It narrows your field of vision, literally and metaphorically, just like being on your phone does. So here's another exercise. If you want, again, invitation only, put your fingers right in front of you and stay focused on them and notice how much you're able to be aware of the space that you're in, the room and the people around you. And now keep looking straight ahead, but open your fingers out until you get to the edge of your vision without knocking anybody else over. And now notice how much you're aware of the space around you. It's still you looking straight ahead, but you've opened up your awareness. Did that feel different? Yeah. So, in The Gift of Fear, Gavin de Becker explained that true intuition is a brilliant internal supercomputer, sending you information about what is actually happening in the present. Anxiety is its enemy. When we are anxious, we're focused on possibilities, what might happen in the future, which blinds us to the realities of what's happening right here, right now. If you're busy looking for a scary stranger, you might just miss the very real warning signs being given off by the person standing right next to you. Not that any of you are scary or dangerous. De Becker teaches us to look for pre-attack indicators. These are 4 tools we should all teach our children and use ourselves. They are forced teaming. This is when a person tries to pretend you have a shared purpose. So they use language such as, we're in this together. Let us carry your bags. It's a way of lowering your defences. Charm and niceness. Niceness is a decision, not a character trait. A predator can use charm as a tool. As Rebecca says, the wolf doesn't need to look like a wolf, it just needs to look like a sheep. Too many details. When people lie, they often provide way too much information to make themselves sound credible. The fourth one is typecasting. An attacker might insult you slightly. Something like, I guess you're too proud to talk to me. This is goading you into proving them wrong by talking to them. So the issue isn't whether someone is a stranger. The issue is about context and instinct. Does this person's behaviour fit the situation? Are they respecting your boundaries? If you tell someone no and they ignore it, they are trying to control you. This is a red flag, whether they are a stranger or your best friend's father. We must empower our children and ourselves to know that no one has the right to make us feel uncomfortable. Security doesn't come from roles or labels. It doesn't come from attempting to control external circumstances or other people. Security comes from within. It comes from the knowledge of reality, not scary fantasies, and developing the skills of being present and trusting and acting on your instinct. Anxiety robs you of that gift, and for this reason, I'm going to share my favourite simple, easy and effective tools to help you reduce anxiety and say no to anxiety. We have 4 diaphragms, and you know that your main diaphragm helps you to breathe. So we are going to do breathing exercise because that's a brilliant way of reconnecting with ourselves, getting out of the outside stuff that might be panicking us. There are 4 diaphragms. One is your palate and all the way across your shoulders. The second one is the diaphragm that most people know. The third one is your pelvic floor. And the fourth one is in your feet because they are curved like a diaphragm. So we're going to play with the first one, which is in your mouth. So I'd like you to just notice how you feel. Hopefully your level of anxiety isn't too high. Just notice, maybe scale it on a 0 to 10. If 10 is really high and 0 is not at all. How you feel right now. Just put that in your mind and just keep it there at the back of your mind. And then just lick your teeth. Each tooth. Notice each join between the teeth. And then you can go to your cheeks. Well, you could do this in front of the mirror and have a good laugh. Put funny faces at you. And the back of the teeth. And your palate. I'm sure I've left a piece of pecan pie somewhere. There we go. Now my teeth are clean. Just become aware of how you feel for having done that. It's a way of bringing you back into your body, what you're actually feeling in your body, rather than your mind running off with stories of possibilities. So that's what I call tongue twister. I like alliterations, they're good. Let's do our next one, because we talked about breathing. It's called square breathing. So you think of it as a square. You're going to breathe in for a count of 4. Hold for a count of 4. Out for a count of 4. and hold. I count to 4. Oh. So I'm going to count for you. This is a really good way, if you have trouble getting to sleep, of being able to quieten your mind. So notice if your scale of 0 to 10 has come down a little bit. And then we'll go round 4 times. So 4 times 4. And I said earlier I'm not good with numbers. So if it all goes wrong, just blame it on my poor maths. If you can't hold for 4, because that might be where you struggle, especially after the out breath, that's fine. Just pick up where you can and then just keep counting. And it might be 3 and it might be 2. The out breath is where you're beginning to stretch your comfort zone. And there's a whole load of info about carbon dioxide tolerance, because we don't breathe because we're running out of oxygen. We breathe only because our level of CO2 in our system is increasing. And that's what triggers our breathing system. And it's important to increase that tolerance so that we're not breathing too fast, because when we get anxious, we tend to breathe more quickly and more often. We want to be aiming for 4 to 6 breaths a minute. Most people are doing 10 to 12. So if you think of that's the amount of energy you're taking into your body. If you think of how much you need to eat, and you were having, instead of 4 portions of something, you were having 12 portions of something, your body would start to struggle to deal with it. It's the same thing with the amount of oxygen. Yes, we need oxygen, but too much is also problematic. So I'll count for you. So I'll show you how it works first, and then I'll count for you. So breathe in and out through your nose if you can. So in, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. In, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Out, 2, 3, 4. Hold, 2, 3, 4. I'm just taking in the breath. And notice how that feels. And do you notice the energy in the room has just come down a bit? There was nothing wrong with the energy before, but if you're in a noisy, busy environment, that might be a useful tool to be able to settle things down a bit. So where are you on your scale now? The other might require for you to move around a bit. So it's what I call 5 senses. So we're going to start with, look at 5 things and name them in your mind. 5 different things. And then 4 things that you can feel. So it might be the seam of my trousers, into my glasses, the plastic, maybe hair. There's usually 4 different things that we can feel. 3 things that you can hear. And sometimes what you hear is your own breath. There's the rain, there's the clock, there's my voice. 2 things you can smell. Hopefully it's not me. But if you're out and about, it might be pause to take time to smell a flower. Or just even the smell of the rain sometimes is different. I mean, you walk past what used to be the body shop, and there was always a smell. So when you notice the smell, it really taps into the brain. You can go, okay, I'm smelling something. And then one thing you can taste, you've already done that. It's like, Any leftovers from lunch? So that's our 5 senses centering. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Are you up for one more? Okay, for some of you this might be tricky because it involves touch, and not everybody is comfortable with touch. But it's the self-care hug. If you don't want other people to hug you, then you might want to and might be able to hug yourself. So you put your right hand across your heart. Other hand. Right hand across your heart. So your heart is right here. And under your armpit, because there's a whole load of meridians and lymphatic fluids right there. So that's important to nurture that. Then you put the other one on your shoulder, and you put your head towards your hand. And just notice if that feels more secure. Is it comfortable? If it's not comfortable, then don't do it. Not everybody's ready for this. And I don't necessarily mean uncomfortable because maybe you've got a bad neck. That internal sense. Those alarm bells inside. And then release. Take a breath. And notice where you are on that scale of 1 to 10 or 0 to 10. Have you come down? Hands up if you have. Yeah?
Again, just to start with.
No. Maybe just a little calmer, not necessarily anxious. Or just a bit more, it's what we call centered. A bit more settled. If you had to tackle something difficult, then maybe this would be a better state to be in. So those are my top 4 centering practices to help you go to sleep, to help you deal with difficult situations. So it's vital that you feel empowered to ask questions and demand respect. No one gets to make you feel uncomfortable. It's your right to speak up. And if something happens, God forbid, it's your responsibility to speak up about it, as well as share the fact that stranger danger is a myth. And remember, use the exercises to say no to anxiety. Your gift is your instinct that lets you know when something isn't right. Trust it with your life. Literally. Any questions?
Not off the top of my head.
Any feedback? Anything that you particularly liked? Anything that resonated with you?
The breathing was nice. I need to remember to do that more.
Square breathing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good, yeah, I liked that.
Yeah. It's my favourite. It's like you don't need a special tool. You can take it with you anywhere, anytime, even when you're walking about. When you're driving and there's lots of traffic, you may as well look after yourself. I say to my clients, a cue is a cue to look after you. Because you can't do anything else, so you may as well. Square breathe, relax, find your feet, find your sit bones.
What about when people get to a point where they can't really do those things, they don't really work because they've gone past a point of just noticing the anxiety, it's got to like almost a panic attack? or a panic attack, what would you suggest then? Some people don't know how to manage, like if that can manage it, that's amazing, but a lot of people don't do that.
So that's the thing of the practice. It's doing it every day when you don't need it, so that when something happens, you do need it, you've got it. It's there as your tool in your pocket, and you know how to use it.
Yeah.
With panic attacks, it's the hyperventilation, or breathing way too much. When we breathe a lot, the oxygen that's going to your head creates more anxiety. And so, because we're anxious, we then tend to breathe even more. So, paper bag over the mouth, or just recognizing, okay, I just need to stop breathing. I know it's panicking, but I need to stop breathing to re-regulate.
What does the paper bag actually do? I see it in the movies.
It basically traps the carbon dioxide.
So
therefore your body's not taking in the oxygen, that's
Yeah.
what I'm saying. It does fuels the fire then.
Because you're when you breathe out, you're breathing out carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
So you then re-breathe in a bit more carbon dioxide each time you do it, and so it's reducing the amount of oxygen that's messing with your brain.
I see it in movies. I thought,
Yeah.
is there something in the bag?
No.
It's just-
Well, the only thing that's in the bag is more CO2.
Right.
So it will tighten your muscles. The excess oxygen tightens your muscles, gets your mind spinning, and you can go into technique from it. So you'll just see.
Well, we never have paper bags around.
No, they're rare. I do carry one in my bag.
Yeah, Chris packet. With
Uh,
nice flavour as well.
little bakery have
Oh, yeah?
paper bags.
Oh, yeah.
Next time you go to Lidl, you keep one of the bags in your pocket. The other one that I like to use, I teach it to clients. It has to be a safe space, and I call it beat the pillow, beat the bed. So you have a bed or a sofa that you use, ideally not your own, because then there's the memory of what you just processed. But you take a hand towel and you roll it up, and whatever it is that's going on, you just beat the bed. So what's happening is, when there's frustration, it's difficult to articulate it. So you need the physical movement to help get it out of your system. Because all of this isn't just happening in our heads. Our body is remembering past experiences, it's pumping with adrenaline. This is the fight, flight, freeze. So we can go into technique, freeze, or we go into fight or flight. So in that case, we're releasing the adrenaline through the movement. That's what our body is designed to do. It's not socially acceptable to go and beat everybody up that winds you up. So we get stuck with all this adrenaline in our system, and it's got nowhere to go. That's why people like going to the gym. But because they're not being specific about the issue that they are frustrated about, they just go and run, and they're watching TV, they're distracted, they're not mindful in the process. It requires going to the gym all the time just to release this adrenaline, because it's not gone, oh, that's my issue, that's how I release it. So it's much better to be specific with what it is. So you can then beat the bed and vocalise the frustration, the anger, you can insult it all you like, the bed doesn't care.
How do you know? Maybe the bed has feelings.
Well, at least it never complains. It just takes it. So that's a good way. In that panic, there's the, I want to do something and I can't. It's a really good way of being able to do something. But they need to be at home and know it's safe. And again, they have to have practiced it and know it's with a towel, there's nothing around them that's going to break. I did that. I got really wound up, and the only thing I had next to me was my diary, and I picked it up and I whacked the bed. And I stopped and I felt much better. And I thought, oh, why is there a splat of blood on the wall because I cut myself with the edge of my diary. It was only a tiny. Then I thought, okay, lesson in there for me. Like I knew, a 5-year battle. Well, it was turned out to be a 5-year battle, and I was maybe only a year in. So lots of frustration with that, and it was all happening on the computer, so you haven't got immediate communication. So yeah, it happens, even though I practiced. So yeah, knowing that was like, okay, yeah, it's really important that I mention that. So anything that does happen then becomes a lesson for the next time. The self-care hug can be, if they know it, can be a good way of just going, oh, it's okay, I am safe. And they might need to lay on the ground, so it's about finding what feels safe. So it might be then they need to curl up on the ground, and for obviously not in the street, but to curl up, or to, even to sit on a chair and be like coming back to that internal sense. So, teaching people what's most helpful for them becomes very specific to that individual, because it depends a bit on the story and how their nervous system responds. But they tend to be about feeling out of control and how do you bring it back. So.
I think you spoke about rationalising, like people are told not to. What do you mean? Because I try to sometimes help them rationalise, because what they're thinking is their anxiety's gone away with them. So actually rationalising it, I think you were doing earlier when we were talking, rationalise that, what am I actually worried about? What did you mean?
So it's, but you know you're safe.
Oh, so just brushing it off.
Yeah, brushing it off. Oh, it doesn't matter. It'll sort itself out.
Right.
But it's not just rationalising when you've. So there's the difference when you're in anxiety mode, or when you have the feeling that there's something not right. There is something threatening, but you're not sure.
Yeah,
so you're in the presence of somebody that's giving you the creeps, it's a way of describing it. Or you go into a building and you go, mm-mm. So one of the accounts in the book was this lady who walked into her block of flats, and it's through security code, and she didn't recognise the person. And so there was something going, well, how did they get in? Who is this person? So she said, oh, well, what are you here for? She said, oh, well, I was just going up to flat number something or other. Why are they hanging around if they're going up? So it was only after in the interview that she was able to go, oh yeah, that was weird. He said he was going to the flat, but he wasn't. He was hanging around downstairs. He hadn't just walked up the stairs if he'd been let in. So it's trusting that instinct. With anxiety, you can begin to think about, oh, what is it that I'm anxious about, because it's something happening in the future? What are the steps that I can do right now that will help me, that I can control? What is it that I do have control over? So you can have control of your breathing. You can have control of, you have to make a phone call to help sort out a particular situation. Sometimes it's money, and people avoid looking at the account. Okay, let's start small. What's the first account? Okay, how do you manage this? So it's kind of rationalising, but you're taking action. You're not just going, oh, it'll be fine. Oh, well, and that's other people might be telling you that. And you're going, yeah, but it's not fine. In your nervous system, it's not fine. So it's like, how do you come back to your own sense of security? So safety is about the outside environment, feeling safe. So here you're safe, you're not getting wet, the door's locked, so you know you're safe, but you may not feel secure because of what's happened in your life, because you might have had anxiety if there's alcohol abuse. And so there's always this flip-flop character, sometimes they're fine, sometimes they're not, so that you're never feeling completely sure what it is that you're going to be finding when you walk in, or they're all right and then the next minute they're not. So that can be that level of anxiety. Go, oh, okay, what do I need to do? Because the only thing you've got control over is yourself. And so it's bringing it back. What can you do? Yes, you can't control what the people do, how they behave, what the bank does, what schools do, what the government's doing. Yeah, you can vote, but still not in charge of the craziness that's going on. But how you handle it, that's something that you can hold on to, and you can little steps at a time. One teacher said, if you can't do a big step, take a little step. If you can't do a little step, you take a tiny step. And if you can't take a tiny step, you take a fairy step. That's sometimes how small it is. It's just, okay, I need to sit and I need to breathe. Oh, okay, I need to have one conversation and then go to bed, because that's all you might be able to manage that day. And you're listening to, like, what is it that you can do in yourself, not what necessarily everybody else is telling you is right. If it doesn't feel right, there's a reason why, and then you can sort of figure out from your body that when I said about the crossing, okay, that doesn't feel right, but is it just because you're not used to it, just because it's unfamiliar, and actually it's perfectly okay. So you can practice this, this is slightly edgy, and get used to it. And actually it might be useful in a panic, okay, cross your hands, and cross it a different way, it feels different to them, it's okay, you can come back to that, because it's bringing them back into their body rather than letting their mind run riot, because that's what's happening.